Part 15. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 141. Thousands of defense towers hundreds of meters high stand in the huge dragon city. The flower-like translucent light masks spread one after another in all directions, covering the entire city. 2,000 mage towers were lit. The fiery red light flashing on the top of the tower represents danger, indicating its powerful attack and determination to defend everything. Whoosh, 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 the sound of neat footsteps came. Teams of dwarf warriors followed the orders of the city lord Suchen, either guarding the city gate or climbing the tower. More Huohuang, Jialan, and Galaxy Guild players, under the leadership of their respective commanders and team captains, also began intense and orderly preparations for war. When these players passed Tuan Tuan, they all looked at her in surprise. Unexpectedly, at this time, there would be San Juan who dared to insist on staying in Longcheng. To know. Before the King's Landing boss built the defense tower, the three major guilds all fled tens of thousands of people. It wasn't until now that he saw the completely changed Longcheng that the military morale stabilized. Watching groups of mighty warriors rushing past. Tears bursting into tears. I know, I just knew it. My boyfriend never disappoints you. Just when I clicked on the live video camera that comes with the game. I will prove everything here to the world. Tuan Tuan suddenly stopped moving again. Snort. I won't reveal it to you bad guys now. I want to keep a secret from my male god. When the war starts tomorrow, I will scare you to death. Thinking of the interesting and happy things, Tuan Tuan couldn't help but stay there alone and laughed stupidly. The game is offline. The community is extremely noisy today. Suchen frowned and looked outside the balcony. I saw people gathering in twos and threes. Or make a few gestures, or slap, or kick the fitness equipment in the community square. Even my uncle and aunt couldn't help but do a long jump while standing still. It jumped 2 or 3 meters away, causing bursts of exclamations. To know this distance, only a young guy with a strong body can do it. Grandpa and aunt's body functions are declining. Under normal circumstances, it is impossible to jump so far. It seems that the dark energy tide is getting closer to the Earth, and the surrounding dark energy concentration is getting higher and higher. A new era is coming. Suchen took a deep breath. I keenly feel the familiar energy flowing into my body through my respiratory tract, improving my overall physical condition. Do the math, this life has already started for 8 days, there are still 22 days left, and the era of online games will come. I still have a lot to do, and time waits for me. Suchen clicked on the news while eating breakfast. Today's news is half about the physical variation of all human beings. After all, everyone's changes are too obvious now, and even fools can sense something unusual. While reading the news, the so-called experts came up with some specious explanations while trying their best to stabilize the people's emotions. The other half of the news was about the Battle of Dragon City at 8 o'clock tonight. Because Suchen's Dragon City did a better job of keeping secrets. So far, the latest news about Dragon City is the news just revealed from the 20-Nation Alliance meeting last night. Last night, a giant eagle knight from the Viking Guild flew to Dragon City and was killed by Dragon City. Before the giant eagle knight died, he seemed to have seen a dense array of siege equipment deployed in Dragon City, but whether it was a trebuchet or an artillery piece is currently unknown. Thousands of public intellectuals launched a campaign of dissuasion against King's Landing today. Dragon City needs to increase military transparency in online games. Whether it is a mule or a horse, let everyone see. There is no use in engaging in intrigues. Facing the absolute strength of the 20-Nation Alliance, any small means is just a paper tiger. 7 p.m. There is still 1 hour until the game goes live. God's Domain online game company once again invited 2 beautiful commentators. There are also special guests from guilds such as Viking Guild, God's Whip, Sakura Inferno, and War Overlord. The Fire Phoenix Guild also invited a special guest, a beautiful woman with the ID name Tears of the City. With such a lineup lined up, the audience immediately felt a strong sense of fighting. Let me go, this lineup, the battle starts in the game. Is there also a different kind of battle in the live broadcast room? The 20 Nation Alliance invited 4 or 5 guests. There was only one guest from the Fire Phoenix Guild in Dragon City, and she was also a pretty beauty. The position of the God's Domain online game is very obvious. There is no way, Dragon City is weak, and the 20 Nation Alliance is too strong. The commentator enlivened the opening atmosphere and first introduced the special guests. When it was her turn to burst into tears, this beautiful woman with an appearance and body that could be ranked among the most stunning, opened her mouth lightly. Hello everyone, I am a main member of the Fire Phoenix Guild, and I am also a fan of Junlin Boss. I am a level 21 mage in the game. The tearful voice was so soft that the male guests across from him were beaming with joy. What a gentle beauty. This is everyone's unanimous impression of the City of Tears. Okay, now there are only 50 minutes until the game is launched. I wonder what the 20 Nation Alliance thinks of the upcoming Dragon City War. The commentator looked towards the OUM Guild. Dragon City must be defeated. I believe that everyone has seen some of the news revealed at the 20 Nation Alliance meeting yesterday. In fact, there is nothing to say about this Dragon City War. It is just a simple one-sided crushing. The data on the table is very intuitive. Looking at the number of people alone, 30 million versus 300,000, Dragon City has no chance of winning. As for other aspects, haha, with all due respect, when the full power of our 20 Nation Alliance is revealed, it will be a nightmare for Dragon City and King's Landing. The commentator smiled and said, it seems that the 20 Nation Alliance is very confident. I wonder what Dragon City thinks. The camera turned to Tier Ching Cheng. The latter gently pushed her hair behind her ears, with a gentle expression and a bit of indifference, and said softly, well, compared to the bosses of Dragon City and Junlin, everyone here is rubbish. The gentle face and calm expression of Ching Cheng immediately became a strong contrast with her fiery words. Especially when she spoke so calmly and naturally, as if she was stating an extremely simple fact. The live broadcast room immediately fell into a dead silence. The commentators did not know how to answer the call. On the OUM Guild side, several guests who originally had a good impression of Tier King Ching's faces immediately turned red. The number of people watching the live broadcast, hundreds of millions of viewers, burst into laughter. As expected of a member of the Fire Phoenix Guild, awesome. Damn, I'm still eating, I sprayed everywhere. Sister Tier Ching Cheng is so awesome, I am also a fan of Lord Junlin, Dragon City Rise. The commentator didn't expect that Tears of Tears would look delicate, soft, and weak, and he didn't expect that his words would be so simple and direct. He didn't dare to let this beauty comment anymore, and instead started discussing with several guests from the European M Guild. Tears of Tears is beautiful. A bit of contempt flashed in his eyes. Time passed by. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the game was launched. Billions of people across the server received the announcement message across the server at the same time. Ding! Server-wide announcement. The Church of Light begins to launch the Holy Light War against Dragon City. At the same time, the large-scale regional mission Battle of Holy Light will be released to all Light Camp players in the entire server. All players who participate in the attack on Dragon City will receive corresponding Light Church reputation and contribution points. The contribution points can be exchanged for various rare items and reputation at various city branches of the Light Church. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 142. Ding! Server-wide announcement. The Dark Temple began to launch a punishment war against Dragon City. At the same time, the large-scale regional mission Battle of Punishment will be released to all Evil Camp players in the entire server. All Evil players who participate in the attack on Dragon City will receive corresponding Dark Temple reputation and contribution points. The contribution points can be exchanged for various rare items and reputation at the Dark Temple branches in each city. Ding! Server-wide announcement. The Cardinal Archbishop of the Church of Light St. Auerbach will lead this War of Holy Light. Ding! Server-wide announcement. The black-robed Soul General of the Dark Temple Dark Phineas will lead this Battle of Punishment. A series of announcements. This directly triggered the Dragon City War, gathering everyone's attention to Broken Dream Island and Dragon City. I go. Both major forces have released large-scale regional tasks. Now there are more players attacking Dragon City. No one can resist the temptation of the reputation value of the Light Church and the Dark Temple. I heard that the reputation of the Church of Light can be exchanged for rare skill books, so take this opportunity to gain more reputation. A large number of players who originally planned to watch the show joined the army to conquer Dragon City. Because Suchen blocked the entire teleportation of Broken Dream Island, Jingtao City became the bridgehead for countless players to attack Dragon City. At this time, the situation in Jingtao City is not optimistic either. A large number of forces from the Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness broke into this main coastal city. The city lord's palace was even invaded by two teams of tyrannical men. Not only were all the guards put under house arrest, but some resisted, immediately killed. Even city lord Shi Yi was controlled. Dozens of Judgment Army and Soul Generals surrounded him. They turned a deaf ear to city lord Shi Yi's anger and roar. In the city lord's hall, the Red Archbishop of the Church of Light St. Auerbach, and the black-robed Soul General of the Dark Temple Dark Phineas, sat firmly in the main seat. The two of them didn't even raise their eyelids, they just sat with their eyes closed to relax. Aren't you afraid of the commercial principality's revenge if you break into the Lord's mansion of Jingtao City without authorization and kill my guards? Don't forget, this is the free trade city. It is not a place that you, the forces from the Six Realms, can touch. Shi Yi roared. Shut your stinky mouth. Our Lord Bishop, even if the king of your merchant principality meets you, you must be polite. Cooperate with us to open the portal, otherwise, even if I kill you, your king will not dare to do anything to me, the Church of Light. Several members of the Judgment Army shouted sharply at Shi Yi. The Soul Generals on the side also showed a cold and murderous look, and the threat was self-evident. You, don't even think about it. Shi Yi shouted angrily. Immediately, 100-level powerful strength suddenly erupted, knocking back the surrounding Trial Army and Soul Generals. However, before he could escape, the Red Archbishop sitting in the main seat lightly tapped his finger. Seal up. A 12-sided sealing formation composed of holy light immediately enveloped Shi Yi. No matter how hard he struggled and shouted, he could not move even half a minute. The War Overlord Guild and Sakura Purgatory were following far behind these two groups. The guild players looked ecstatic when they saw this scene. They immediately issued a notice to the 20-Nation Alliance and the entire server. Jingtao City has been controlled by the Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness. City Lord Shi Yi was sealed. After hearing this news, the Viking Guild, which could no longer hold back, first issued an order. Viking fleet. Set sail to Broken Dream Island now. There were Dragon City sails along the way, and they were blown to pieces without any need to report. Wow! A total of 12 first-class sail warships, carrying 1,200 members of the Viking Guild, with 20 cannons pushed through the portholes on both sides. At the command of the commander, they raised their sails and galloped towards Broken Dream Island. Go! Viking Eagle Knights, all take off to escort the fleet. Boom! 300 giant eagles soared into the sky from the outskirts of Jingtao City. Their huge wings shook the surrounding trees. They flew high into the sky and almost blocked the sky and the sun. Woo! At this moment, the dull sound of the horn suddenly sounded next to the harbor of Jingtang City. I saw a taller second-level sail battleship, with 50 sophisticated level cannons pushed through the portholes on both sides. The sails were raised to hold down the fleet ahead. There were all players around. Amazed again and again. The Viking Guild has even acquired a second-level battleship. This is too powerful. Didn't it say that the second-level battleships are not rented by the main city? This battleship has the mark of the Church of Light on it, which may be related to the Church of Light. It's so powerful. 12 first-level battleships, 1 second-level battleship, and the second-level battleships are equipped with sophisticated level artillery. This is currently the most powerful artillery with a range of 1,000 meters and an attack rate of up to 3,000 points. Sure enough, the Viking Guild's statement about blocking the entire sea surface of Broken Dream Island was not an exaggeration. They really had the strength. Tak, the leader of the Viking Guild, stood on the deck of this second-class sailing battleship. Looking at the black shadow of Broken Dream Island in the distance, he was very high-spirited. Thinking of the experience of the dwarves being crushed by Suchan, the Viking captain Tak sneered. King's Landing, just hide in your dragon city and never come out, otherwise, I won't mind sending you to meet God with one shot. As the Viking Guild's fleet launched into the sea, more guild ships were launched one after another. The teleportation array was blocked, and the sea route became the best way to set foot on Broken Dream Island. Ordinary second and third-rate guild players rent a large number of ships with large transportation volume and attacks. Merchant ships with low power were used to carry people. The first-class guilds, on the other hand, drove 5, 6, or 7 or 8 first-class battleships to the Broken Dream Island. The Whip of God also got a second-class sailing battleship. As the ship of the gang leader Alexander, it also carries 2,000 mighty knights, following behind the Viking Guild fleet. As for the Whip of God, 1,000 super engineering equipment with a range of 3,000 meters, elite members follow the War Overlord. A secret route to Broken Dream Island. For a time, hundreds of thousands of ships of various types from hundreds or thousands of guilds covered the entire ocean on the 100-kilometer strait between Jingtang City and Broken Dream Island. Longwan. Yunfi Ian holds the latest Epic 30X telescope produced by Longcheng Engineering Battalion to observe the sea surface. When the Viking Guild fleet is about 30 kilometers away from Broken Dream Island, Yunfi Ian's face is as frosty and charming shouted. Dragon City Fleet. Set off. Annihilate all incoming enemies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 143. Brother Junlin, my sister's side is starting the war first. In the friends column, Yunfi Ian sent a message. Suchen stood on the 100-meter high tower, looking at the ocean in the northern strait, and smiled. Half-awake Fox and Zunlong had arranged all the preparations for war yesterday. Okay. Now follow Suchen, each holding an Epic 30X telescope and looking at the sea. Brother Junlin, our level 3 ironclad battleships are indeed powerful, but from the perspective of artillery, it is difficult to hit the giant Eagle Knights at high altitude. The Fire Phoenix Guild may not go well this time. The half-awakened Fox observed for a while and then said in deep thought. Zunlong frowned slightly. The giant Eagle Knights of the Viking Guild brought a large number of gunpowder bombs this time, although the attack of this gunpowder bomb is not enough to break through the third-level ironclad battleship. Defense, but the personnel on the battleship deck are very dangerous. I have already told my little sister about this, but her attitude is different from usual. She seems a little perfunctory, which really makes me, the older brother, a little worried. Logically speaking, My little sister's character is not the impetuous type. Suchen smiled when he heard this. Don't worry, if you were the commander of the Dragon City fleet, you would have the same attitude. Oh. Zunlong and half-awakened Fox looked at each other. Suchen's words seemed to contain a hidden secret. Could it be that, are there any secret weapons on the third-level armored battleship that they don't know about? God's Domain online game live room. The spectacular scene of thousands of sailboats racing on the sea is shown on the big screen. The two commentators looked obviously excited and spoke very fast. Everyone, look. A fleet of thousands of ships led by the Viking Guild has launched into the sea. They came straight to Broken Dream Island. The Viking Guild is worthy of being the guild that is best at naval warfare in the Nordic service area. Its luxurious lineup of 12 first-level battleships and 1 second-level battleship is enough to crush all guild fleets at this stage. There are too many ships on the sea. According to our preliminary estimates, the number of first-class battleships in the fleet attacking Dragon City this time should be more than 300. The number of second-level battleships is more than 10. Moreover, all second-level battleships are equipped with sophisticated artillery. It is the most powerful artillery in the game at this stage. That adds up to over 500 doors. This is an extremely terrifying firepower. Then the commentator handed over the right to speak to the guests of the Viking Guild on the scene. The latter's face was red and he said proudly, "This is what we call the power of the general trend. In the face of absolute power, Dragon City is vulnerable." Another commentator immediately answered, "We don't understand what Jun's Landing was thinking when it was built. Why was Dragon City located near the sea? In this way, the 20-nation alliance fleet alone is enough to destroy Dragon City." As soon as the commentator finished speaking, he turned the camera to the guests of the Fire Phoenix Guild who were in tears. "In this regard, Miss Tears, what are your views and explanations?" All the guests sneered and looked at Lei Ching-cheng. In such an obvious situation, if the other party insists on saying that they are trash, it would be a slap in the face. Lei Ching-cheng took over the right to speak calmly and said softly. "The boss of Junlin located Dragon City near the sea, naturally to facilitate access to the sea." Hearing the tearful explanation, the guests of the Viking Guild almost laughed out loud. He said with unabashed sarcasm, "It's convenient for going to sea? It sounds like your Dragon City also has a fleet, haha. Do you know how battleships are controlled? Have you trained sailors? Do you think the artillery on the battleship can hit the target with just a few clicks of your fingers? Do you know what shooting Zuyuan means?" The guests from the Viking Guild retorted like a barrage of sarcasm. I was in tears, but I was not angry or annoyed. I still just said calmly, "I am poor, so I only use players to control the cannons of battleships. We at Dragon City are not short of money and we use experienced NPCs." As soon as these words came out, everyone in the live broadcast room burst into laughter. "You don't even have a battleship, and you're still bragging about using NPCs to control artillery? Girl, when it comes to bragging, I'm willing to give you the upper hand. How dare you say we are poor? Your Dragon City doesn't even have battleships, so what kind of NPCs do you use? I don't think Dragon City is short of money, but it's not short of face." Several guests sneered. "But this is a public place, civility is the main thing, and you can't talk too much." The two commentators coughed twice and were about to make peace. The tears were so beautiful looking at the sea on the big screen. Suddenly he whispered. Sister, they are here in a battleship. I suggest you hurry up, forget it, it's already too late. Let this naval battle be an eye-opener for you." Everyone was stunned. They really couldn't figure out how this beautiful girl could speak so exaggeratedly and vainly. The commentator quickly wrote a small note and quietly handed it to Tearful City. "This is a live broadcast room with billions of viewers. Please be careful with your words and don't be too exaggerated." I stretched out my hand halfway. From the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of the southeast corner of the big screen, and suddenly a strange fleet sailed into it quickly. Which guild's fleet is this? The number seems to be quite large, probably about 10 or 20 ships. Could it be the hidden backhand of the Viking Guild? The guests from the Viking Guild looked stunned and shook their heads. Is it the Whip of God? Or Sakura Purgatory? It is also possible that they are from the North War Overlord Guild. They are wealthy and have the financial resources. The picture of this fleet looks a bit distorted. Why does it feel that the size is much larger than ordinary battleships? Can the camera be zoomed in a little closer? The video technician immediately enlarged the picture and then enlarged it again. When a whole group of 23 level armored warships with a length of 300 meters and a height of 50 meters appeared in front of the screen and filled the entire screen. When the armor surrounding the warships reflected when the dazzling sunlight shines. When the battleship's towering mast top flutters a flag with the words Dragon City written on it. The entire live broadcast room instantly becomes silent. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 144. Just when the live broadcast room became audible. Tears fell in the city's indifferent yet soft voice, sounded again. Tier 3 iron-armored battleships, each battleship is equipped with 100 gun slots. There are currently 20 ships, and all gun slots have been filled. In total, there should be 2,000 artillery pieces. After saying that, Tears Ching Cheng glanced at everyone in the live broadcast room with a faint expression. Good on. In the silent live broadcast room, the sound of people swallowing their saliva rang out. Level 3, Iron Armor, Battleship. One ship has 100 guns. A fleet has 2,000 artillery pieces. The live broadcast room was deathly quiet. After a long time, an older commentator was the first to recover from the shock and asked with a trembling voice. Miss Tears Ching Cheng, what level is the artillery on this battleship? Are they all sophisticated? The commentator had just finished speaking. There was a gasp of cold air all around. If they are all excellent class, that would be a total of 2,000 excellent class artillery. It is more powerful than all the excellent class artillery of all warships in the entire 20-nation alliance combined. It's 4 times better. What is this concept? At this stage, in the understanding of all God's domain online game players, the sophisticated artillery is the king of artillery. In terms of range and attack power, it ranks first among all engineering weapons. A ship is equipped with a second-level battleship with 50 sophisticated level cannons is enough to crush 10 first-level battleships equipped with ordinary artillery. Not to mention a full 20 third-level battleships equipped with 100 excellent level cannons. Once this fleet is released, who can resistance? Just when everyone was silent, the tearful and indifferent voice sounded again. Who told you it was a sophisticated artillery piece? A glimmer of hope rose in the eyes of the guests from the Viking Guild, and he asked tentatively, could it be an ordinary artillery piece? When he asked this question, even he himself felt a little stupid. The opponent could even get a third-level armored battleship, so he still cares about the money for artillery? Why, the entire copy of ancient temple that produced the engineering drawings is in the hands of Long Cheng. Would they not have sophisticated artillery? Sure enough, Tears Ching Cheng glanced at the guests strangely, as if he was looking at a child making a staff. At your level, you are really lucky to be a guest. Viking Guild guest. Suddenly, the barrage in the live broadcast room burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Killing me. The tearful girl's words are too poisonous. I'm starting to like this girl's talk and personality. By the way, what level is the Dragon City battleship's artillery? The younger commentator quietly took back the hand that handed out the note. Then, with lightning speed, he swallowed it into his mouth and destroyed the body. He was very happy in his heart. Fortunately, he didn't take the note. This article is for this tearful girl. Otherwise, he will be slapped in the face if he says that the girl is exaggerated. Then he, as a commentator, will have no shame to continue. Guests from the God's Whip Guild stared at the Dragon City fleet on the screen. Suddenly said Iron Armor battleship, Miss Tears Ching Chang, what is the defense of your battleship? Everyone was shocked. That's right. Just pay attention to the number and level of the opponent's artillery. This is the first time I heard about this ironclad battleship. The defense is definitely much stronger than their wooden sail battleship. Just be afraid, even they 20. It would be embarrassing if even the excellent artillery of the League of Nations second-tier battleships couldn't penetrate it. Tears Ching Chang said calmly, no comment. God's Whip guessed. On the straight ocean. Yun Feiyan was dressed in golden battle armor, holding a giant axe, and stood majestically on the deck. A pair of phoenix eyes looked at the densely packed 20-nation alliance fleet in the distance. Seeing that the distance between the two sides was about to enter the shooting range of 3,000 meters, Jiao shouted in a loud voice. Open the gun window. Introducing the self-adjusting rapid-fire cannon. The fleet is moving forward at full speed. Immediately, the densely packed gun windows were opened on both sides of 20 Level 3 ironclad battleships. The gun barrels with black holes slowly stretched out, reflecting the cold light. The Viking Guild fleet is the leader of the 20-nation alliance fleet. The lookout saw the Dragon City flag on the mast of the opposing fleet and immediately raised the flag. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. Talk, the leader of the Viking Guild, used his hand to block the dazzling sunlight reflected from the opponent's fleet's armor and screamed strangely. What kind of monster is this? The distance between the two sides is close enough to clearly see the shape of the other side's warship. The 300-meter-long third-level iron-armored battleship is wrapped in shining iron armor. Compared with the other side, the Viking Guild's second-level battleship is like a child facing they are just like adults. Not to mention 12 first-class battleships, they are even more pitiful. But now the arrow has to be fired. Talk analyzed the current speed of the two sides approaching and immediately issued an order. All the warships turned their hulls sideways and lined up. Although the battleship is equipped with artillery on both sides, during the actual battle, turning the hull sideways and pointing one side of the artillery at the enemy fleet is the most effective tactic. The fleets of both sides are approaching rapidly. 3,000 meters. 2,500 meters. 2,000 meters. 1,500 meters. When Talk, the leader of the Viking Guild, saw that the opponent was about to enter the shooting range of the sophisticated artillery, he still had no intention of slowing down. Even the hull of the ship did not move horizontally. Instead of turning around, he just rushed straight towards them. I was overjoyed. Turns out he's a naval battle idiot who doesn't understand anything. He even thought that if he could capture the opponent's warships and become his fleet, then the Viking Guild could truly dominate the entire sea and become a well-deserved overlord of the sea. 1,000 meters. 900 meters. 800 meters. Talk raised his hand high and never put it down. His adjutant shouted anxiously, "Boss, why don't you give the order to fire? It has entered the range of sophisticated artillery." On Trafigura's side, taking a deep breath, he stared at the opponent's battleship with greedy eyes and said, "Don't rush yet. Get closer and fight again. I'm going to take over this fleet in one fell swoop." 700 meters. 600 meters. 500 meters. Boss, the opponent has entered the range of the first-level battleship artillery. Talk's raised hand suddenly slashed down, veins popped out, and he roared extremely excitedly. "Fire! Everyone fires! The soldiers on the ship are preparing for a boarding battle. Seize the opponent's warship." Boom, boom, boom. Hundreds of artillery spewed anger, angrily pushing out solid shells one after another, breaking the speed of sound, making a sharp and long roar, flying rapidly towards the opposite battleship. Dang! Dang! Dang. Because of the distance recently, half of the hundreds of artillery shells hit Yunfeiyan's fleet. The solid shells hit the hull of the battleship, but they made a sound like knocking steel. -0. -0. Lines of zero damage floated out from the third-level armored battleship. Talk, the leader of the Viking Guild, almost bulged his eyes out. Can't break through the defense. 1 minute later. The 500-meter distance between the two sides passed by in a flash. 20 behemoth-like third-level armored warships rushed into the Viking Guild fleet arrogantly. The battle axe held high by Yunfeiyan suddenly struck down. Dragon City Fleet. Fire. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 145. Boom. The first to cause damage to the enemy. Not rapid-fire artillery, but the third-level armored battleship itself. The tall, hard, and iron-armored bow of the ship cut brutishly into the row of warships lined up by the Viking Guild. With a crushing force, he directly rammed through the wooden hull of the opponent's first-class battleship. Boom kaka. The sound of huge trees tearing apart suddenly sounded on the sea. Countless Viking Guild crew members looked at the bow as huge as a tall building in horror, and directly tore the hull of the warship they were on from the middle. Then crush it again. Ding. Congratulations on successfully sinking first-class battleship *1. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *100,000. Ding. The player Viking sailor has been killed by you. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gains experience points *200. Ding. The player Viking gunner has been killed by you. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gains experience points *300. Ding. From the moment the warships from both sides came into contact, Suchen, who was far away in Dragon City, heard system notifications in his mind one after another. Black Dragon G Mengli's experience points began to soar. However, this is just the beginning. After the Dragon City fleet crashed into the Viking Guild fleet, the gun barrels on the portholes on both sides began to automatically adjust their angles, following the NPC gunner's aim, and locked onto the enemy ship. Then, burst into flames. Boom, boom, boom. An attack of up to 5,000 points, and such a close-range bombardment. Whenever an enemy warship is hit by a cannonball, a huge hole will be directly punched through it. Sawdust is flying. One by one, the enemy guild members were cut down like wheat. Just a blast. Thousands of cannonballs sent all 12 first-class battleships of the Viking Guild into the seabed. The hit rate is ridiculously high. Ding. Congratulations on successfully sinking first-class battleship *1. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *100,000. Ding. Congratulations on successfully sinking first-class battleship *1. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *100,000. Ding. Ding. Congratulations. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli has reached level 17. Go ahead. Keep going. Girls, for Dragon City. For King's Landing. Sweep everything. Yunfei Yanjiao shouted loudly, her eyes flashing with fierce fighting spirit, and her spirit was flying. Toke, the leader of the Viking Guild who was hiding behind the battle, looked at the tragic battle in front of him in shock, unable to look back for a long time. God. The adjutant beside him shouted sadly, boss. Retreat quickly. If we don't retreat, our fleet will be destroyed. Tok suddenly woke up. He no longer had the confidence and desire to capture the opponent's warships. He hurriedly ordered turn around. Turn around at full speed. Retreat. Tell the pigs from other guilds behind to cover us quickly. The second-level battleship is our life and foundation, we must not lose it. 12 rented first-class battleships were destroyed, and the Viking Guild had to face high compensation costs from the main city. If even this second-class battleship was sunk, it would not only be Tok who would be buried in the belly of the fish. Even the entire Viking Guild was about to fall into an eternal hell and a deep debt crisis. But the warship turned around extremely slowly. Seeing that the opponent's tall third-level ironclad warship was about to collide, Tok made a shrill shout in the guild channel. Call. Eagle Knight? Come out for all his giant Eagle Knights and smash them to death with gunpowder bombs. Give me cover. The destruction of all the first-class battleships just now happened too fast. It was only at this moment that Tok remembered the giant Eagle Knight above his head, and quickly gave orders. Phew! 300 giant eagles swooped in from high altitude. The knight sitting on it, carrying a large pile of gunpowder bombs connected with net ropes, looking at the right moment, preparing to light the fuse and throw it into the Dragon City fleet below. At this moment, on the deck of the Dragon City fleet, there was a mysterious weapon wrapped in black cloth. Finally, under the command of Yun Fi Ian, were all revealed. One after another, the holy level self-aiming multiple rocket launchers revealed their true appearance, and immediately began to automatically adjust the angle. Aim the barrel of the black hole at the giant high-altitude eagle. Swish, swish, swish. The multiple rocket launcher shoots out gorgeous tail flames at a terrifying speed of 1 shot per second, pushing the rocket launchers into the sky one after another. The rocket launchers have automatic tracking functions. Just as soon as it rises, each one drew irregular and graceful curves in the sky, and then accurately hit the giant eagles thousands of meters high in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Gorgeous sparks bloomed in the sky. Giant eagles bloomed one after another. The eagle didn't even have time to scream, and the knight on its back was blown into pieces. The attack of the holy level self-aiming multiple rocket launcher with up to 10,000 points was not something that the giant eagle knight with only 2,000 HP could do. What they endured was just a wave of rocket attacks, and 200 of the 300 giant eagles were killed in an instant. The remaining 100 giant eagles refused to obey, screaming and flying away in all directions. Even the ones on their backs where all the knights were thrown down. On the sea, thousands of ships and hundreds of thousands of players looked at the scene with horrified faces. The leader of the Viking Guild, Tok, even trembled wildly and his eyes were blank. The adjutant next to him screamed again, "Boss! Times have changed. Times have really changed. Hell, even the vertical launcher is out. This is a missile. Not artillery. Let's stop playing this game. Can't afford it? The games developed by people from country Z are too perverted." Boom. At the moment when the leader of the Viking Guild Tok lost his mind, a 50-meter-high third-level armored warship with a sharp and hard bow slammed into his ship with a crushing momentum. Boom. Even the second-level battleship couldn't survive the collision of the third-level armored battleship. It was torn apart, crushed, and sank to the bottom of the sea. Ding. Congratulations on successfully sinking Level 2 Battleship *1. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *500,000. Ding. The player Viking Captain Tok has been killed by you. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gains experience points *800. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 146. The Viking Guild fleet was wiped out. The giant Eagle Knight formation was crippled. The Viking Guild's elimination was officially announced. Yun Fi Ian led the Dragon City fleet to pursue the victory. Retreat. Retreat at full speed. Quick. Come ashore. Don't even get into the water. The ships that sailed into the middle of the strait turned around and retreated desperately. Those ships that had just launched from Stormwater City hurriedly docked and all personnel retreated. Among them, the most frightened one was Alexander, the leader of the God's Whip Guild. He left the Viking Guild fleet was too close. A total of 12 first-level battleships and 1 second-level battleship were mercilessly crushed in front of him. Facing the Dragon City fleet, there was no ability to resist at all. Looking at the third-class iron-armored battleship, with its gun barrels like a forest of portholes on both sides, came fiercely with a domineering attitude that pushed everything forward. Alexander looked pale. "Mighty knights, 2,000 of my mighty knights are still in the cabin." When he thought that the second-level battleship under him, together with 2,000 mighty knights, thousands of guild members, and himself, would all be buried under the Dragon City fleet. Alexander couldn't help but shuddered suddenly. No. My mighty knight has not yet exerted its fighting power, so it cannot die now. For these 2,000 mighty knights, Alexander spent almost half of the funds of the God's Whip Guild. It was used to improve the attributes and equipment of the mighty knights. Compared with the last battle of the city founding order, the single attribute has more than doubled. The overall strength is 10 times that of before. It is one of his trump cards to avenge his shame and compete for the fruits of victory in Dragon City. There is no room for any mistakes. Seeing that the distance between the two sides is less than 500 meters. Alexander's eyes are red, and he is heading towards the flagman on the mast shouted. "Make peace. Tell them, let's make peace." Soon, the distance between the two sides narrowed to only 400 meters. What did the other person say? "Boss." The other party has no response yet. The flag bearer shouted. Alexander smashed his fist angrily and roared. "Tell them we are willing to pay the ransom. Big ransom." The distance between the two sides narrowed again to 300 meters, 200 meters. The flagman reported that the other side still had no response. Alexander could even see a majestic female Kuangzhan standing proudly on the bow of the other side's tall warship. It was too late. If the opponent doesn't turn around, all 2,000 of his mighty knights will be buried under the sea. Fuck. Alexander's face was twisted and ferocious, and his eyes were flickering. A man can stretch and bend. He is a true hero. As long as he can keep 2,000 mighty knights, he can regain his place in the Dragon City War later. Holding back the humiliation in his heart, Alexander raised his head and shouted hoarsely, "Road! White flag! Raise the white flag! We surrender!" Wow! A white flag was flying high on the mast of the God's Whip Guild ship. On Yun Fi-Ian's side, the lookout shouted, "Sister! If the other side raises a white flag, what should we do?" Yun Fi-Ian waved his hand domineeringly. "What to do? Think about what King's Landing does. Hit it. Crush them. Dragon City doesn't need prisoners." Boom. In Alexander's desperate and indignant roar, the 50-meter-tall third-level ironclad battleship easily tore into pieces and crushed his second-level ship until it sank to the bottom of the sea. Ding. Congratulations on successfully sinking Level 2 Battleship *1. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *500,000. Ding. Player Alexander has been killed by you. The clone Black Dragon G Mengli gained experience points *900. At the same time. In the live broadcast room. It was dead silent. In just a few minutes, more than 20 warships from the Viking Guild and the God's Whip Guild sank to the bottom of the sea. Dragon City's third-level armored battleship, as soon as it appeared, displayed its overwhelming domineering power in front of everyone. Super high defense, super high attack, and also comes with anti-air rocket attack. There are not to mention 20 such warships. Even one boat can suppress the entire crowd. The commentator and all the guests then remembered what Ter Ching Cheng had said before. Everyone here is rubbish. This naval battle should be regarded as an eye-opener for you. It turns out that the lady in tears never said a big word from beginning to end. It's always been true. On the contrary, they are short-sighted and arrogant. Remembering the previous mockery of Long Cheng and Junlin, everyone's faces were burning and they didn't even dare to raise their heads. A long time. The older commentator sneered. Miss Tears Ching Cheng, the Dragon City side should also be equipped with such terrifying artillery and missiles, right? Hearing the commentator's question, all the guests in the venue were shocked and looked at Lei Ching Cheng in unison. If Dragon City also has such powerful firepower, then... Lei Ching Cheng blinked. In fact, at this point in the naval battle, the rapid-fire artillery of the Dragon City fleet only fired a wave. The power of the ultra-high rate of fire has not yet been fully demonstrated. But of course Lei Ching Cheng would not be kind enough to remind them. At the moment, he just said lightly. Don't worry, we in Longcheng are very poor. Guests and commentators. Dragon City. In the dense forest 5 kilometers away. There are more than a dozen large and small teleportation gates on the south, north and west sides. These portals are either black or white. Black, with a cold, undead aura, it was obviously planted by the Dark Temple. If it is white, the holy light will bloom, and it must be the work of the Church of Light. Countless players, like ants, poured out of various portals. As soon as it appeared, it immediately cut down all the dense forests around it. Make room for the cavalry troops and engineering equipment behind. Building a teleportation gate requires a large amount of elemental crystals, and the farther the teleportation distance is, the greater the consumption. Therefore, both the Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness placed the entrance to the portal in Jingtao City. Almost every minute, millions of players poured into the outskirts of Dragon City from Jingtao City. And make intense and orderly pre-war arrangements. Soon, the joint command channel of the 20-nation alliance, including dozens of guilds in the country's e-service area, began to hear reports. 200,000 people in the War Overlord Guild are already in place. Sakura Purgatory Guild, 300,000 people are already in place. Gold All-Star Guild, 350,000 people are already in place. Hongxin Tianxia 15,000 people are already in place. Proudly fighting in all directions 200,000 people are already in place. The logistics supplies have been inventoried and are all in place. 1,600 sophisticated artillery pieces have all been loaded onto tanks and are ready for battle. 6,800 ordinary artillery pieces are already in place. 100 siege vehicles are already in place. 3,000 gunpowder pack soldiers are already in place. Whip of God, the ultra-long-range secret weapon, has been deployed. Attention all parties. Attention all parties. The Light Church Army is about to appear. The Dark Temple Army is about to appear. Please vacate the space as soon as possible and do not rush into the adults. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 147. Buzz. Buzz. 200-meter tall portals suddenly appeared on the north and south sides of Dragon City. Immediately afterwards, groups of Templar Knights and Undead Knights with astonishing auras began to walk out of the portal. The surrounding players quickly vacated their positions and looked at these powerful NPC armies with envy and fear. In the battle for the Founding Order, 100 Knights Templar and Knights of the Dead are enough to sweep all players away, making them invincible. And now, as the portal continues to flash, a total of 30,000, an overwhelming army of level 70 Templar Knights and Undead Knights, appeared outside Dragon City. A terrifying and heavy atmosphere instantly filled the entire place. Oh my God, is this the true power of the Church of Light? Horrible. I feel like even if we have 10 million people, it won't be enough for them to kill us. Dragon City is dead. These NPC armies alone are enough to level everything. The next moment, A more intense light bloomed from the northern portal. 5,000 level 80 Judgment Army with aura as deep as prison, wearing epic light armor, holding the sword of judgment, riding a 3-meter tall the dragon-blooded horse appeared silently. In the south, the same 5,000 level 80 soul generals from the Dark Temple, holding epic soul-killing guns and riding double-headed bone dragons, slowly emerged from the portal with steaming black energy. Slowly stepped out. For a moment, terrifying murderous auras suddenly spread in all directions. Players who were close to them even had their legs weak and collapsed directly on the ground. If these players saw the Templar Knights and the Undead Knights, I can still make a few comments. Now that I saw these terrifying Judgment Army and Soul General, they all lost their voices. Even their breathing was carefully slowed down, for fear of alarming these terrifying NPC armies. However, what is even more terrifying is yet to come. I saw two 100-meter tall teleportation gates, one black and one white, suddenly shaking violently. It seemed that some powerful existence beyond the capacity of the teleportation gate was coming out, and it might collapse at any time. Everyone looked at it together. Even the powerful Judgment Army and Soul General just now took the initiative to give up their positions, lowered their heads slightly, and paid tribute to the existence that was about to appear. Buzz, buzz. The portal trembled violently. One in the south and one in the north, two aloof, indifferent to everything. The figures walked out of their respective portals. It was the Red Archbishop of the Light Church St. Auerbach. And the black-robed Soul General of the Dark Temple Dark Phineas. See your lordship. See the black-robed Soul General. St. Auerbach, Cardinal Archbishop. Level, 100. HP, 400,000. Attack, 50,000. Defense, 9,000. Skill, Holy Judgment Holy Aura Forbidden Great Light Technique Summon Angel Holy Sacrifice. Description, the powerful person in charge of the Church of Light. Possess the powerful power to summon demigod-level angels. Sacrificing oneself can even allow the real God to come to the divine continent. Dark Phineas, Black-Robed Soul General. Level, 100. HP, 350,000. Attack, 60,000. Defense, 6,000. Skill, Death and Decay Evil Aura Forbidden Dark Curtain Summon Ghosts and Gods Death Sacrifice. Description, legend has it that the predecessor of the black-robed Soul General Phineas was a powerful lich of the undead tribe. After joining the Dark Temple, he was immediately reused and became the black-robed Soul General who commanded an army of 100,000. Possess the supreme right to communicate directly with the Dark God. The surrounding Judgment Army, Templar Knights, Soul Generals, and Death Knights all saluted these two truly strong men. Thousands of players present could not help but bow down to pay homage. I didn't even dare to look up and take a second look. Dragon City. Suchen stood on the tower, looking at the two real opponents who appeared in the finale. Looks not surprised but happy. Sure enough, it appeared. The Red Archbishop and the Black-Robed Soul General are both powerful men who can summon semi-god level beings at will. Sacrifice yourself and even summon real gods and demons. As long as you kill the gods and demons they summoned, you will have blood of gods and demons and Godhead. Blood of gods and demons can strengthen equipment, and can be fused with essence of gods and demons to improve qualifications. Godhead can even create god-level dragoons. It is a super unit that can truly resist gods and demons. Thinking of this, Suchen couldn't help but lick his lips. He really covets the bodies of these two people. The half-awake Fox and Zunlong came together with solemn expressions. Brother Junlin, we still underestimate the power of the Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness. This time, the opponent clearly wants to take down our Dragon City in one fell swoop. The two of them said as they glanced around Dragon City worriedly. The 300,000 guild members stationed at the city walls and gates could still maintain confidence when they saw an army of tens of millions of players. But when the NPC army came in full force, when they came out, especially when the red-robed archbishop and the black-robed Sol general appeared, their morale had plummeted, and their confidence was far less than before. Only Suchen's army of more than 10,000 NPCs was still dedicated to their duties with determination and unwavering. The two dragons were very worried about how much combat power these guild members would be able to exert once the siege started. Moreover, as soon as the naval battle started, the army here quickly arrived through the portal. The other party wants to attack from both sides and catch us off guard. I don't know what's going on with my little sister. When Suchen heard this, he smiled and patted Zunlong on the shoulder. Sister Fiyin, don't worry. We will win the naval battle. As for the issue of morale, one wave and it will rise. Hearing Suchen's words, Zunlong and the others couldn't help but look at the densely packed rapid-fire artillery pieces covered with black cloth on the city wall. Indeed, there is such a powerful weapon, and there are defense towers and mage towers in the city. After a battle, confidence will naturally rise. Woo! Woo! Just as the three of them were talking, Dragon City was 5 kilometers away, on the south, north, and west. At the same time, deep horn sounds sounded. Tens of millions of troops all over the mountains and plains moved upon hearing the sound. The battle, here we go. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 148. Ding. Server-wide announcement. The portal from Jingtao City to Dragon City begins to close. Anyone who is located in Broken Dream Island and receives Battle of Holy Light players who participate in large-scale regional missions such as Punishment Battle will automatically receive add 100 reputation points and add 100 contribution points from the corresponding faction. Ding. The Cardinal Archbishop of the Church of Light St. Auerbach issues an attack horn. Players from the Light Camp, attack with all your troops. Ding. The black-robed Sol General Dark Phineas of the Dark Temple issues an attack horn. Players from the Evil Camp, attack with all their strength. Several server-wide announcements passed before the eyes of all players. The horn blew, and tens of millions of players took action upon hearing the sound. Boss, should we take action? A commander of the War Overlord Guild asked the War Overlord. The latter held up the rare-grade binoculars and looked at the Dragon City 5 kilometers away. On the 100-meter-high and heavy city wall, there were densely arrayed a mysterious weapon wrapped in black cloth. These weapons look very similar to artillery. Wrapped in black cloth, they should all be sophisticated artillery pieces. This number is quite a lot. The War Overlord looked a little solemn. A rough estimate showed that there are thousands of artillery pieces on the wall alone where he is. Fortunately, although the sophisticated artillery has an attack rate of 3,000 points, its rate of fire is only 1 shot per minute. If the cavalry or chariot troops can withstand 2 waves of attacks, they should be able to reach the city. At that moment, he said in a deep voice to the commander beside him. First send out 300 tanks loaded with sophisticated artillery, transport them to 800 meters below the city, and fire immediately. In addition, 10 more cowhide chariots were sent to cover 100 gunpowder-packed dead soldiers, directly to the city gate. 4 other members, just hang at the end of the siege army. The Knights Templar will not move, and we will not attack. Yes. Boss, then our Griffin team. Upon hearing the words Griffin team, the War Overlord immediately glared at the commander. The Griffin team cannot be used until the critical moment. This is one of our trump cards, we can't let anything go wrong. Yes. Correct. The War Overlord suddenly asked how is the naval battle going? Boss, there is news from the Viking Guild that traces of the Dragon City fleet have been discovered at sea. I believe it won't be long before we hear news of our army's complete victory. The Sakura Purgatory Guild also adopted the same strategy as the War Overlord Guild. Only some fast mobile troops were sent out for testing. The main force was hanging at the end of the tens of millions of troops, watching the battle. At the same time, the 20-nation alliance also has a luxurious lineup of 10,000 elite members to escort the ultra-long-range secret weapons of the God's Whip Guild to within 3 kilometers of Dragon City. There are also prudent people in other guilds who choose to wait and see for the time being. But most of the guilds and players couldn't wait to launch a charge towards Dragon City, competing for reputation points and contribution points, lest they fall behind. Kill. Attack. The guild is running rampant, and I will charge with you. Capture Dragon City and kill King's Landing now. Ha ha ha. Students, have you seen it? I'm charging towards Dragon City. A big scene with tens of millions of people. I, Liang Chen, will take the lead among thousands of armies. Ouch. Don't step on me. Dragon City. Su Chen, Zunlong, and half-awakened Fox were stationed on the north, south, and west walls respectively. Seeing the army surging over the mountains and plains like a flood, Su Chen's face was as calm as water. Beside her, Black Dragon Ji Mengli transformed into a girl and snuggled up to her master, while gently pouring tea for the master. While looking at the army below the city, a strong fighting spirit flashed in his beautiful ruby eyes. Su Chen smiled and knocked her little head. Don't worry, you will kill everyone later. Ji Mengli stuck out her tongue playfully. At this time, a tired, red-eyed but extremely excited dwarf legendary master came over respectfully and said excitedly to Su Chen. Lord Saint, fortunately you have lived up to your destiny. We have tested hundreds of times and added thorn powder to the ancient ore powder, tough mineral powder, life vine and adjust their proportions. Finally got 50% shock resistance, 20% damage reduction, and a self-healing ability with a maximum durability of 1% per second. In addition, the city wall defense has also been increased to 109,100 points. The durability reached 1.49 million points. Oh! Su Chen's eyes lit up when he heard the legendary master's words. There were counter shocks, damage reduction, and self-recovery. The defense even exceeded 100,000. These guys really didn't let him down. Well done. Su Chen patted him on the shoulder. When the latter heard the Holy Master's affirmation, he thought of the tests he had carried out day and night in the past 2 days, and also remembered the Holy Master's sincere teachings, and tears flowed down again. Holy Master, students dare not take credit, it is all the Holy Master who teaches well, students. This dwarf legendary master was over 100 years old, but in front of Su Chen, he cried like a child. Su Chen patted him on the shoulder, wanting to comfort him with a few words of encouragement. He opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. So he took out another 3,000 ancient ores from his backpack. Come. Take these ores and keep working hard. My teacher is very optimistic about you. The legendary master's legs went weak and he almost fell down. But after hearing Su Chen's encouragement, his tired and red eyes once again showed emotion and excitement. Students will no longer have the high hopes of the Saint Master. The legendary master left. The artillery captain in front, who was responsible for measuring range, shouted a warning. The enemy has entered the 3,000-meter range. Hearing this, the hundreds of commanders on the North City wall all looked at Su Chen, waiting for his instructions and ready to issue orders at any time. 100,000 guild members looked at the torrent of troops getting closer and closer under the city, and the roar of killing shook the sky, and they nervously held the weapons in their hands. Even though they were on top of a 100-meter-high city, they still couldn't help but feel frightened when facing an enemy army that was 100 times their number. Involuntarily, everyone looked at each other in unison. Looking at Su Chen. Looking at the only backbone of Dragon City. The half-awake Foxes and Zunlong on the west and south walls are also waiting for his orders. Remove the artillery black cloth and conduct the first wave of shooting tests at a distance of 3,000 meters. Suchen took a sip of tea and said calmly. The armies of the Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness have not moved, and the rapid-fire artillery will not attack with full force. This first wave of bombardment is only used to correct the shooting data. Next, there will be more test the data of 2,000 meters and 1,000 meters distance. Just use these ordinary players to practice their skills. Remove the black cloth. 3,000 meter shooting test. 100 commanders immediately passed Suchen's order to every part of the 10-kilometer-long city wall. The half-awake foxes and Zunlong on the west and south walls were excited after hearing Suchen's order. They immediately made a decision the same order. Wow, wow, wow. Pieces of black cloth were removed, revealing self-adjusting rapid-fire artillery pieces with shining metallic light. Buzz, buzz. The rapid-fire artillery locked on the target of a famous artillery gunner and automatically adjust the angle, make the sound of rolling gears, and quickly aim at the target 3,000 meters away. The target has been locked. The artillery captain shouted loudly, and then looked at Suchen with a hint of longing. The latter nodded slightly. The artillery captain's eyes immediately shone with excitement, his face flushed, and he said hoarsely, "Fire! You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion." Author, 7 years. Chapter 149. The war overlord is staring at the city wall with a telescope. I saw dense rapid-fire artillery, flashing with dazzling metallic light. Suddenly my heart skipped a beat. An ominous premonition suddenly arose. Didn't wait for him to react. Boom, boom, boom. On the city wall, the artillery captain gave an order. 1,000 self-adjusting rapid-fire artillery pieces emitted a thundering roar almost simultaneously. The cannonball carried flames and airflow, and the moment it rushed out of the barrel, it immediately triggered a violent sonic boom. A brilliant mushroom-shaped tail flame bloomed, then screamed at a faster speed and flew towards the target 3,000 meters away. The west and south city walls also made thunderous cannon sounds. A total of 3,000 artillery pieces roared at the same time. Thousands of players outside Dragon City, including the Light Church and the Dark Temple Army, all raised their heads and looked in the direction of Dragon City. All I saw was high in the sky. 1,000 gorgeous sparks suddenly bloomed, pushing out small black dots, spanning a distance of 3,000 meters in an instant, and crashing down towards them. Boom, boom, boom. Distance 3,000 meters away from the city, there is a horizontal line that stretches for 10 kilometers. 1,000 black mushroom clouds instantly rose up. The ground shook violently, and the huge roar and air waves instantly lifted and tore apart all the surrounding players, chariots, and horses. Because the cannonballs were very close to each other, only 10 meters apart. Each shell can cause an attack of up to 5,000 points to all targets within a 50*50 meter range. The areas covered by the attacks of thousands of artillery shells overlap one by one, one after another. A section of land that was 10 kilometers long and 50 meters wide was turned into a dead zone. At the same time, tens of thousands of players were turned into flying smoke or minced meat. Continuous kill notification sounds sounded in Suchen's mind, forcing Suchen to turn off the notification. At the same time, the experience value of Black Dragon G Mengli skyrocketed again. Because the entire Dragon City belongs to Suchen. The number of kills caused by the rapid-fire cannon is also fed back into G Mengli's experience points. Report, sir. 3,000 meter range test completed. The data accuracy rate is 95%. Further adjustments are being made to shooting Zuyuan. The artillery captain said loudly. Suchen nodded. 1 minute later, make a second 2,000 meter range test. Yes, my lord. After the shocking sound of artillery, the shouts of killing and charging in the world suddenly stopped. the momentum of the attack of tens of millions of troops was stopped. Everyone stared at the scene with their mouths open, looking at the area covered by artillery. Their eyes were full of shock and fear. The war overlord almost squeezed his eyes into the telescope. 3,000 meters range. Or explosive bombs. Not a solid bullet. At present, both ordinary artillery and sophisticated artillery use solid bullets. Although solid bullets have strong penetrating power, their killing range is far behind compared with explosive bombs. What kind of artillery is this? Sakura Purgatory Guild President Kuroda Mayo also made a strange cry. The current sophisticated artillery with the longest range is only 1,000 meters away. Dragon City's artillery is actually as high as 3,000 meters. Could it be that the giant Eagle Knight who came to investigate yesterday was killed by this kind of artillery? Can this artillery hit air targets? Kuroda's charioteer was puzzled. I knew that this King's Landing definitely had a trump card. The war overlord looked gloomy, and said to the members beside him, inform the Viking Guild immediately that Dragon City has 3,000-meter range artillery, and ask them to be careful. Boss, the leader of the Viking Talk gang said, don't worry. The fleets of both sides are currently within 1,000 meters. The other side did not fire or form a formation. They are idiots in naval battles. In this naval battle, he wants to capture all the opponent's warships. The Dragon City fleet does not have such artillery installed. Will King's Landing lack such money? Or does it have no time to produce it? The war overlord was surprised. He waved his hands a little irritably and stopped caring about the naval battle. Instead, he urged God's whip. The ultra-long-range secret weapon arrived at the designated location as soon as possible and prepared to fight back. At the same time, I felt a little disdain for Long Cheng to display such a powerful artillery so quickly. Such a powerful killing weapon was exposed so early. Put it closer and then fire, and arrange 3 stages of shooting at the same time to offset the shortcomings of the slow firing speed of the artillery, and form a barrage. Wouldn't the result be better? If I had such artillery, Dragon City would have been destroyed long ago. The war overlord looked at the artillery on the city wall with jealousy. It was just as he expected. After a wave of shelling, the artillerymen standing behind the artillery stopped. It was obvious that a 1-minute cooling time had entered. And in this minute, the army the perfect time to charge. Woo! Woo! The Church of Light and the Temple of Darkness once again issued the call to attack. Rush, rush, rush. Their artillery is cooling down, which is the perfect time to charge. Quick! Hurry up! Gunpowder bombs and siege tanks quickly arrived at the foot of the city wall. The artillery tanks disperse. Avoid the opponent's second bombardment. A bunch of stupid donkeys, get up for this young master, they are so scared. Charge! Rush into Dragon City and kill that King's Landing for me. 1 minute later. The artillery captain followed Suchen's instructions and conducted a second 2,000-meter range test. Boom, boom, boom. Thousands of artillery roared again. A line within 2,000 meters of Dragon City was fired. The 50-meter-wide horizontal line turned into death. In just 1 minute, ordinary players could not run within the 2,000 meters range. Only a few tanks were affected by the artillery. The damage was limited. Countless players began to laugh. Are they firing cannons? The idiot is coming. Stupid Dragon City. A total novice at artillery combat. They are probably so frightened by our tens of millions of troops that they don't even know where to fight. The war overlord and Kuroda Yuffie were both stunned. What's the situation? Such a dish. Did I overestimate him? But now is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 3,000 ultra-long-range weapons of God's whip have entered the designated position. Players and tanks are closer to Dragon City. Another minute later. The third wave of bombardment in Dragon City, 1,000 meters to the designated position. This time there was no harvest. Hundreds of siege tanks and dead soldiers with gunpowder bombs have arrived at the foot of Dragon City. Millions of players have seen two shellings, but they have not suffered any damage, and their morale is getting higher and higher. Sheng, rush faster and faster. The cry of killing shook the sky. At the same time, the 3,000 secret weapons of the God's Whip Guild stopped at a distance of about 2,500 meters on the north, south and west sides of Dragon City. Then they quickly took off. The mysterious veil reveals a huge bed, the rare level flying wing giant crossbow chariot. The range is as far as 3,000 meters, and the single target attack is as high as 3,000 points. The time to make achievements and become famous is right now. Everything is ready. The unified commander of the 20-nation alliance immediately issued an attack order excitedly. Siege tanks. Attack the city gate. Kill the soldiers with gunpowder and blow down their walls. Flying wing giant crossbow chariot, aim at the opponent's defenders and launch. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. All attacks were launched violently towards Dragon City at almost the same time. Thousands of players looked at the dense rain of giant crossbows above their heads rushing towards Dragon City. City gate here, a huge battering ram slammed into the city gate. At the foot of the city wall, hundreds of dead soldiers shouted for glory and bonuses, lit the fuse, and exploded. Everyone looked at Dragon City intently. The leader of the guild gang, Angry Angel, was rampant in the world. His face turned red with excitement, and at the moment when the dead soldiers detonated the fire bombs, he shouted excitedly. Destroy it! Dragon City. Online games, I really don't want to have unlimited fusion. Author, 7 years. Chapter 150. Buzz. When 3,000 giant crossbows were fired at Dragon City like a torrential rain. Thousands of translucent defensive light shields rose from the level 3 self-restoring defense tower and spread out rapidly. Together with the city walls, towers, defenders, and rapid-fire artillery, they were all wrapped in a defensive cover. The giant crossbow hit the defensive cover. Unable to get in at all. As if hitting an iron plate, they were all bounced away. At the city gate, the huge battering ram hit hard without causing even a slight vibration. The huge impact was completely absorbed by the city wall. At the same time, the siege ram itself also clicked with several deep cracks. The Dragon City wall has a backlash of up to 50%, which is not something ordinary siege weapons can handle. If these battering rams collide again, the gates of Dragon City will be fine, but all these battering rams will be shaken to pieces by the backlash. Hundreds of dead soldiers were hiding at the foot of the city wall and detonated. He detonated the flame bombs on his body as if he was dead, followed by huge roars. Only flesh and blood and craters were left on the ground. The city wall is nothing. Not to mention the explosion, not even a white mark appeared. The war overlord who saw all this through the telescope was so shocked that he almost bit off his tongue. How can it be? How can this be? Such a violent attack. It's gunpowder bombs, battering rams, and giant flying crossbows. Ordinary cities have already suffered various degrees of damage. Even the main city will be attacked by a single target up to 3,000. A huge crossbow fired swept away a large number of defenders. But Dragon City remained untouched. Defense cover. Boss. Dragon City has defense towers. The commander let out a shrill cry. The momentum of the tens of millions of troops charging was stopped. The furious angel, who was already thinking about the collapse of the fantasy city and the death of people, almost fell down when he saw this scene. Impossible. How could his city have such a strong defense in just 3 days? At the same time, a terrible thought arose in my mind. If even their siege weapons can't break through Dragon City's defense, wouldn't they, tens of millions of people, be just lambs waiting to be slaughtered gathered outside the city? Retreat! Retreat! All the guilds in the world must retreat 3,000 meters away. The furious angel, who had already rushed into the distance of 1,000 meters from Dragon City, roared. But with an army of tens of millions, it is easy to rush in, but difficult to retreat. There are players everywhere, where is the place for you to retreat? At this moment, the 1,600 sophisticated artillery pieces of the 20-nation alliance have entered the 800-meter firing range and have been deployed to begin bombarding Dragon City. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people responded with all their expectations for this bombardment. The light shields of the defense towers and them it can't be hit. Attacks with nearly 1,000 points of battering rams and fire bombs can't blast the city wall. The sophisticated artillery with an attack power of up to 3,000 can definitely blast the walls of Dragon City. As long as the walls can collapse, there is always a way to destroy or even occupy the defense towers inside. War Overlord, Kuroda Charioteer, Angry Angel. Countless people stared at this wave of bombardment, slamming into the tall walls of Dragon City. Dang, dang, dang. -0. -0. The 1,600 solid artillery shells seemed to be loaded with thick steel plates, and they actually made a thundering sound of gold and stone. All the shells were deflected. All with zero harm. Some cannonballs even scattered and shattered because they could not withstand the force of the shock feedback from the city wall. Instead, it knocked down a large number of players below. Finished. The millions of players who saw the scene were immediately dumbfounded. A sense of powerless despair arises in my heart. Retreat. Retreat immediately. Almost all the guilds issued a retreat order at this moment. Just kidding. The city gates cannot be broken by hammering, the city walls cannot be penetrated by blasts, and the city towers are covered with defensive shields. If we don't retreat now, will we become a living target for thousands of artillery in Dragon City? Tens of millions of people instantly became confused. From the foot of Dragon City to a distance of 3,000 meters, countless players pushed and trampled each other. At this moment, the self-adjusting artillery on Dragon City began a real attack. Suchen put down his teacup and stood up. With a cry, he pulled out the semi-artifact heavy sword Zushan Emperor. He pointed at the enemy troops below the city and shouted, "All artillerymen, listen to the order. The target is the opponent's giant crossbow tank and artillery tank." Boom, boom, boom. The epic self-adjusting rapid-fire artillery finally began to play its true advantage. It fires up to 10 rounds per minute at a high speed, combined with the effect of the first 3 range checks. The hit rate is as high as 99.99%. It's just the first wave of bombardment. All the flying wing giant crossbow chariots and artillery chariots of the 20-nation alliance were turned into powder. Next. Continuous artillery bombardments every 6 seconds, on the battlefield of tens of millions of people. Every minute, every second, thousands of players were reduced to rubble. Black Dragon G Mengli's experience points began to skyrocket. Ding! Congratulations! The clone Black Dragon G Mengli has reached level 18. Ding! Congratulations! The clone Black Dragon G Mengli has reached level 19. Ding! Congratulations! The clone Black Dragon G Mengli has reached level 20. Ding! Your clone Black Dragon G Mengli automatically awakens the dragon skill Forbidden Fire Meteor from Heaven. Black Dragon G Mengli, who had acquired new skills and greatly increased her attributes, excitedly transformed into a 22-meter-long dragon form. Soar up into the sky and recite the mysterious and difficult dragon language. Above the sky, a red cloud quickly condensed. The violent fire element swept over the tens of millions of troops. A fireball hundreds of meters long, composed of countless flames, fell suddenly from the sky with a long tail flame. When it fell into the army, thousands of sparks instantly exploded, turning all the surrounding areas within a kilometer into a sea of fire. Nearly 100,000 players were burned to ashes in this fiery purgatory. At the same time, Black Dragon G Mengli once again soared one level. Hold head high. Such a terrifying blow made G Mengli scream in excitement. Soaring in the sky, looking for crowded places, and once again activated the heaven-defying forbidden spell. Boom, boom, boom. The continuous bombardment of rapid-fire artillery did not give the army below even a moment of breathing time. Just 3 minutes. The casualty rate for an army of tens of millions reached a terrifying 20%. Nearly 2 million players died on the battlefield. Some of them were even trampled to death by their own chariots or horses. There were artillery and forbidden curses, and the battlefield was filled with howls. Can pets cast forbidden spells? What the hell kind of artillery is this? With a rate of fire of 10 fires per minute, are Dragon City's artillery taking hormones? 3,000 meters range, 10 times the rate of fire. This is definitely not a rare artillery, this is clearly an epic artillery. It's thousands of epic cannons. Grass. You even say that Junlin is stupid and Junlin is stupid, they are clearly trying to lure us deeper, and now is the time to reap the rewards. Lord Junlin, please stop, we surrender. Fuck them all to death. I want to go home.